Good evening and welcome to the Bellevue City Council meeting for Monday, August the 14th, 2017. First item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. If you could please rise and please remain standing for the invocation by Father Tom Jones, Church of the Holy Spirit, 1305 Thomas Drive. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Heavenly Father, as we gather to conduct the business of our city, we do so seeking your guidance and your blessing. Guide us to make wise decisions in the work before us, that the decisions we make are made with right intentions, in the best interest of those we serve, and with a mind towards proper stewardship of the resources we have been entrusted with. Give our city council discerning hearts as they listen to those who offer witness to the issue at hand, and enable those who approach the council to state clearly their thoughts and concerns. Enable all present to see that what we hold in common as citizens of our fine city is more important than our differences, so that working together, we might make a difference in the lives of those we encounter along our journey and those who depend on us to act faithfully and responsibly. Finally, Lord, bless those gathered in this place, that all may know your love and grace, and knowing it, we might embrace it, share it, and let it be what leads us as a community towards right relationship with you and with one another. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Father Jones. Item number 2, roll call, please.
Mr. Hanson.
Here.
Mr. Cook.
Here.
Mr. Shannon.
Here.
Mr. Preister.
Here.
Mr. Burns.
Here.
Mr. Modry.
Here.
Thank you. Item 2A, this meeting will be conducted according to the Open Meetings Act. It is posted in the entry to the council chambers. Item 3, approval of agenda, consent agenda, minutes, and advisory committee reports.
Sub-item A is approval of the agenda.
Mr. Burns.
I make a motion that we approve the agenda.
Second.
Second by Mr. Cook. Discussion or questions? See none, please vote.
All voted yes.
Thank you.
Sub-item B is approval of the consent agenda. The following items are considered to be routine by the city council and will be enacted by one motion unless a city council member or a citizen requests that it be removed from the consent agenda, in which case it will be placed in its normal sequence on the agenda. Are there any of these items that the council would have? Let me read them first, excuse me. Item 1 is the approval of the minutes of the July 24, 2017 meeting of the City Council. Item 2 is approval of claims. Item 3, acknowledge the receipt of the minutes of the July 27, 2017 meeting of the Planning Commission. Item 4 is approval of the reappointment of Mimi Janda to the Bellevue Housing Authority for a 5-year term ending July 2022. Item 5, authorization for the mayor to sign the annual Department of Roads, that should now be Transportation, agreement for public transportation assistance funding. Are there any of these items that council members would have removed from the consent agenda?
Mr. Shannon.
I would ask that we remove the minutes of the July 24 meeting of the City Council.
Okay. Is there anything else? Mr. Modry.
Yes, Mayor, I would request that we remove claims from the consent agenda.
Are there others? See none. I need approval of consent agenda without 1 and 2. Mr. Preister.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to approve the remaining information in the consent agenda.
Second.
Second by Mr. Cook. Discussion, questions? See none, please vote.
All voted yes.
Thank you.
Okay, then the first item would be approval of the minutes of the July 24, 2017 meeting of the City Council.
I would move to amend the minutes of the meeting, specifically the resolution on, resolution number 2017-12. I've handed out already the change that I'm requesting, and it's just a clarification of what was said at the meeting. And Mr. Sullivan's looked at it,
It's consistent with what happened.
and so I would ask that that be amended and that we approve it as amended.
Mr. Preister.
Just a question, do we need a motion to approve first and then the amendment?
Yes.
I would make a motion to approve,
Second.
and I would make a motion to amend.
Motion to amend, and a second. Second by Mr. Preister as well. Discussion, questions?
Just the amendment.
No questions or, all right, please vote.
All voted yes?
Thank you.
And I vote on the,
Minutes as
Minutes.
amended.
As amended. Any questions? See none, please vote.
All voted yes.
Thank you.
thank you.
I have one. He gave it to me.
Did that just sound louder than it was?
Hope so. Okay, item 4 then is approval of claims.
Mr. Modry.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to bring up a couple things in the claims to clear some items up that may be confusing. They were to me, they may be to the public as well. Just wanted to make sure that they didn't think we were doing anything here. Under streets on the claims, there are 2 identical items listed: Martin Product Sales LLC for bulk oil for $269.50. Both of them read exactly the same. They are not duplicates. They are each individual bills. Under the fleet maintenance, there's a claim by Matheson Trigas Incorporated, and the wording states that it's a drill bit set for the fabrication shop for $2,388.36. That's a real expensive drill bit set. The item is probably not labeled well. After getting some explanation on this, the drill bit set was $89. Then the rest was for welding gas bottle, reloads, refills, and then for a new plasma cutter that the shop got, and got an $1,100 trade-in for the old one. So that's what the bulk of that $2,388 is. So just so you don't think we're spending $2,388 on a drill bit set.
Okay, thank you.
Then one item I maybe wanted to discuss a little bit. Under non-departmental / contracts, for the League of Nebraska Municipalities, dues of $43,544. That's a large amount for dues, and I understand, the league does lobbying, does training for city officials, seminars, conferences, all those things which we also pay separate for when we go to some of those things. But my understanding is those dues are, based on population of the cities? Is that
That's
correct?
correct.
So we would pay the 3rd highest set of dues, right, being the 3rd largest
Correct.
city. But, I know we're also members of the Sarpy County organization, and we will have lobbyists there for us as well. Coming up, we'll probably pay around $8,800 for our share. So I don't know that I want to do anything with it, but I just wanted to bring those points up.
Awareness. Awareness.
Yes, yes.
Mr. Preister.
Motion to approve the claims, so we have it for discussion.
Second by Mr. Shannon. Discussion, Mr. Shannon.
I do see what Mr. Mudry was alluding to, that there is some duplication in the 2 organizations. where the league is charging us for lobbying, and they're lobbying the legislature for the entire state, for all the cities, and things that benefit all cities. Sarpy County, we're going to be paying for lobbying there, but those are going to be closer and, more projects that are, going to benefit our people. And, maybe the question is, when we're looking for savings, do we really need both? Or can we accomplish everything we need through one organization versus belonging to both?
Mr. Mangiamelli, would you like to?
I think the city went through that a few years ago, and the determination was that, you are the third biggest city in the state, and we need to be as well represented as we can on issues that will impact the residents of Bellevue. I brought forward the rejoining the United Cities of Sarpy County because I think we certainly need to be at the table as regards to specific issues to other communities and the city of Bellevue as relates to Sarpy County issues. But again, the membership in the league is more than just lobbying. It is educational. It is a lot of other services that were provided. And we are active participants. I would not like to have Bellevue not be represented in this group.
I think on the league, a municipality, you get what you put into it. So attending those conferences, which I would encourage all of you to do, is a benefit to the city of Bellevue. Mr. Cook.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to make one quick comment. Mr. Mangiamelli recently sent us out a interoffice stating if there was any issues that we wanted to be addressed in the legislature this next year, to bring it to his attention, and that he would pass it on or push it forward. Also, we get almost weekly, I'm going to guess weekly, emails from the league, at least when the session is in progress down in Lincoln. And it's a lot of information, and they tell us stances that maybe they're taking on on a maybe piece of legislation. And I know there's times that some council members maybe don't particularly side on the same side as the league. But what I like about it is that we get a lot of information. I think we get information about everything that is voted on down there in one form or another. And I just think they provide us a lot of information. And I truly believe there's been times where I did not like the stance of the league. And I think this council is open enough that if we would want to take a stance in either support or opposition, we would do it at a meeting. And of course, Mr. Mangiamelli would prepare a document, or Mr. Sullivan, and forward that through. So I think there's a lot of value to it. And I think they definitely keep us in the loop on what's going on. So I think it's a good value, personally. Thank you.
Anyone else? See none, please vote.
All voted yes.
Thank you.
Special presentations. Item 5, Sarpy County Economic Development Corporation, second quarter update.
Welcome.
Good evening. Thank you. Andrew Rainbolt, Executive Director of Sarpy County Economic Development Corporation. I think we have 2 handouts I hope made their way into your packets tonight. We have our economic indicators that we track, and then also our goal sheets. I will start with the chart, which is the economic indicators. Just do a brief rundown of that before I transition to our projects. Starting with net taxable sales, and we always caveat that it's not sales tax receipts. This is a measurement of the goods and services produced and sold from within Sarpy County and each of its cities. You can see we had some modest improvement as compared to last year. Again, this is also, I'll add, this is always a quarter behind, so all we have to measure so far this year is the first quarter of the year. We had some modest improvement over last year, which is always a good sign, and kind of the trend that we always see in this area is steady growth. Bellevue did drop a little bit down from 96 million at that time last year to about 95 million. So not a huge change. I would say that for the macro trend, I guess, Bellevue continues to grow in that area. So not something we're super worried about by any means. On the building permit valuations, you'll see Bellevue did take a large jump in this area from 14 million of second quarter of 2016 to almost 43 million in this quarter. A lot of that, I think, is driven by housing and an apartment complex, but that's always a great growth to see there. Across the county, you'll see we had a marked improvement, most notably in Papillion's jurisdiction, the Facebook project. They had the first two of their buildings were permitted for a total of 307 million. So of that, almost 346 million that they have in there, one project made up the bulk of that. I will say our record year for as we track aggregate building permit valuations across the county is 536 million, and so we're probably already closing in on that right now. So we'll have a record year this year, and we're very excited about that. So another thing that we're not super excited about or haven't been for a long time is Sarpy County labor force. We do continue to grow slowly. We'd like to see some more increase in that. You can see we didn't have June numbers at the time, but in May we had a labor force of a little over 91,000, and our unemployment rate was 2.7%, which is quite frankly very, very low, to the point that it's hard to attract other businesses to come here because they know that it's going to be hard for them to find employees. We have seen some moderate wage increases in the last few years, so hopefully you would expect at an employment rate this low that we'd start to see some more of that. I think some wage increases is good. Of course, we don't want to see a spike. That also deters business, but we'd like to see those wages continue to grow. On the single-family housing subdivisions platted, you can see that we had 586 so far this year, which is very good for us. We've kind of see a ebb and flow between years where we have lots platted and the next years where we see houses built on those lots. So this is kind of a lots platted year for most of the county. Bellevue, on the single-family housing permit side, Bellevue did see a large increase in the second quarter of 2017 as compared to the second quarter of 2016. And I've met with the city recently, and it sounds like there's a lot more housing to come in Bellevue too, so we're excited about that, especially in reference to my last point about workforce. With that, the rest of that chart is some year-to-date other statistics that you can use to compare for your notes. I won't go through all that. I'll move on to our goal sheet here, kind of what we call our progress report. You can see over the first two quarters of 2017, we've landed two projects. Obviously, not a lot of projects. One of them was in Bellevue. It was actually probably should have been landed last year, working with a small producer that we helped with an expansion. Didn't get those capital investment numbers until this year, so we put that in. But of course, the big one was Facebook, which we have estimated a value over about $1.2 billion for what they've announced. And that includes both the real estate and everything that they're going to put in the building there on the server side. So they did not give us that number. That is our estimate, but we feel pretty safe in that. Jobs-wise, we've counted 100 jobs, and again, those are on the Facebook side. So we haven't had a lot of projects landed so far this year, but we have had a lot of projects come in the pipeline. So everything's kind of a funnel. It starts out with everything that's possible, and then we get down to those projects that we actually land. And so we've got a very strong pipeline. We had 27 opportunities so far this year. Two of those have been businesses that are already located here that we're working with to help expand and stay here. But the bulk of them, 25, have been folks from outside of Sarpy County that are considering a move to Sarpy County. We've had 8 prospect visits this year, 5 of them in the second quarter. That's typically when we see a lot of our prospect visits, and at least one of those was a company that's come back twice, so we're excited about that as well. Actually, I'm sorry, we had 6 prospect visits this quarter, the second quarter. On what types of projects we've been working on, you can see our bread and butter is manufacturing, office service, which also includes data centers and warehouse distribution logistics facilities. So you can say we've had 6 of those distribution facilities, 9 office service projects. I would say that was beefed up in the first quarter by several call center projects, which we haven't seen in a long time. well, no, I shouldn't say that. We used to see a ton of call center projects. We don't see as many anymore. But we're not sure if there are 5 different projects or if they were 5 different companies going after the same contract or something, and each inquired with us. But anyway, we did see a bit of a spike in that, and 8 manufacturing, which is really what we're going after. And the 2 folks that we're working with that are already here are manufacturers that we're working with to expand. With that, I'll wrap it up and would be happy to answer any questions. I will say, aside from projects, we have been working a lot on site development. That's been our main focus of the second quarter. We did have options on the sites that Facebook landed on, and so we are taking, now that we have some capacity, we're looking for more sites. Excited to be working with the city and getting the 62 acres that the city owns studied, and I think that work's already started or is about to start by Leo A. Daly. And then we're also actively talking to other Bellevue landowners trying to get another site in Bellevue. So, I know Highway 50 isn't in the Bellevue area, but we're going to take some of the wins there, and we're going to try to transfer that down to the Highway 34 corridor and activate that corridor as well. We think there's a lot of potential there, especially on the manufacturing or some value-added types of processing stuff. So, with that, happy to answer any questions.
Mr. Preister.
Thank you, Mayor. Andrew, I appreciate the update and the good news. Another good day in Bellevue.
Yeah.
And I would like to ask you about the Facebook project, because what I read in the paper was low-cost electricity and that electricity coming from renewable energy were important. Could you comment on how important and having that ready to go, essentially shovel-ready, is to a company who might want to come to Bellevue?
Certainly, the power was a driving factor in their decision-making, and they worked closely with OPPD on that, and it was the green energy, and we're seeing more inquiries about that, especially on the data center side. Almost every single data center we work with wants to be able to point to an equal amount of renewable energy that they're adding to the grid, especially on the large scale side. We're also seeing that on the manufacturing side. Several projects that we've seen come in the door the last couple of years have been manufacturing projects for green energy type things, whether it be turbine manufacturing or even solar panel manufacturing. So that is a large driver of the economy that we work in right now. On the site side, having, in some parts of the country, they can go buy the ground, clear it, put in all the utilities, and have it ready to go. Those are the people that we compete with, and we just don't have that capacity here to do that. So we try to get the site as close to shovel-ready as we can, or we call it virtual shovel-ready, so that the company can come in, buy the site, have it entitled, and build on it within a year. And so that's kind of the window that we work in, and we've seen over the last few years that the time to market has become just as important as cost. And so if a company can't start building within 12 to 16 months, we're gonna be cut from the site selection search. And so that's why we think it's critical in the Bellevue area to be able to get a site under control and get it to that virtual shovel-ready site or standard, so that we can be in contention for that, because we've got a lot of the attributes here, but it is right now in where we're in that Highway 34 corridor, we do lack some water and sewer in parts, we ironically have a wastewater treatment plant right there, but there are parts south of the creek there that we don't have any sewer yet. So continue to work on that, and I think we're making incremental steps there.
Good. So the shorter the time frame for getting the project actually in service, the better.
Yeah, where it used to be, when we got to have a plan or we got to have something up and running in 5 years, that's down to 2 or 3 years. And so they want to be able to come pick a site, and that's why we try to anticipate all the questions and all the information that they're going to need. We try to anticipate that and have that ready for them from day one, so that we can remain in contention.
Good. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Are there any questions? Thank you, Mr. Rainbolt. Appreciate
you.
all you do. Thank you.
Item number 6 is liquor licenses. Sub-item A is Fairview Golf Company, application for a special designated liquor license for a reception at Bellevue University in the in the admin building, multipurpose room, from 5 p.m. to 11 p.m. on Saturday, September 30, 2017.
Is there anyone here? Please come forward. Would you like to say a few words?
Doug Bankston, General Manager, Tregarron Golf Course, and it's my annual visit here for the Hall of Fame banquet at Bellevue University for the SDL for that event.
Thank you. I'll open for public hearing on this item. Anyone wishing to speak on this item, please do so at this time. In case anyone steps forward, if you step aside. I see none. I will close the public hearing. What are the wishes of the council? Mr. Cook.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll make a motion that we recommend approval to the Nebraska Liquor Commission, the Fairview Golf Company application for a special designated liquor license for a reception at Bellevue University in the admin building multi-purpose room from 5 p.m. to 11 p.m. on Saturday, September 30th, 2017.
Second.
Second by Mr. Hanson. Discussion or questions? Mr. Modry.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I'll be abstaining from voting on items 6A through C for religious and personal reasons.
Thank you. Any other questions, discussion? See none, please vote.
Five yes votes, one abstention.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Item B is Dennis R. Miller Jr., new manager application of the Class IK liquor license held by Kinseth Hospitality Company, Inc. for the Courtyard by Marriott and Conference Center at 3730 Rayner Parkway.
Is there anyone here from Kinseth Hospitality? See none. I'll go ahead and open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak on this item, please do so at this time. See none. I'll close the public hearing. Mr. Cook.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll make a motion. We recommend approval to the Nebraska Liquor Control Commission for the Dennis R. Miller Jr. new manager application for the Class IK liquor license held by Kinseth Hospitality Company, Inc. for the Courtyard by Marriott and Conference Center at 3730 Rayner Parkway.
Second by Mr. Shannon. Discussion or questions? See none, please vote.
Five yes votes, one abstention.
Thank you.
Item C, June E. Larmore, new manager application of the Class D liquor licenses held by Quick Shop number 675 at 502 West Mission Avenue, number 688 at 602 Galvin Road, and number 689 at 4151 Harrison Street.
Is there someone here to represent the Quick Shop? See none. I'll go ahead and open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak on this item, please do so. See none. Close the public hearing. What are the wishes? Mr. Cook.
A little. I'll make a motion that we recommend approval to the Nebraska Liquor Control Commission for June E. Lemire, new manager application for a Class D liquor license held by Quick Shop number 675 at 502 West Mission Avenue, number 688 at 602 Galvin Road, and number 689 at 4151 Harrison Street.
Second.
Second by Mr. Burns. Discussion, questions? See none, please vote.
Five yes votes, one abstention.
Thank you.
Item 7 is ordinances for adoption, third reading. Sub-item A is ordinance number 3878, adoption of the 2017 National Electric Code. Sabrina, my tablet won't connect to the Wi-Fi this evening. Would you read the title of that ordinance, please?
An ordinance to amend sections 10-57 and 10-58 of Chapter 10 of the Bellevue City Code by adopting the National Electrical Code 2017 edition. To repeal sections 10-57 and 10-58 of Chapter 10 of the Bellevue City Code as heretofore existing. To provide for the publication of this ordinance in pamphlet form, and to provide for the effective date of this ordinance.
Thank you. Mr. Preister?
Thank you, Mayor. I'll move to approve ordinance number 3878.
Second.
Second by Mr. Hanson. Discussion, questions? See none, please vote.
All voted yes.
Thank you.
Item B is ordinance number 3879, creating sidewalk improvement district numbers 2017-1 to 2017-6 inclusive. Sabrina, same request.
Ordinance number 3879, an ordinance creating sidewalk improvement districts numbers 2017-1 to 2017-6 inclusive in the city of Bellevue, Nebraska, ordering the construction of sidewalk improvements therein, and ordering the publication of the ordinance in pamphlet form.
Thank you. What are the wishes of the council? Mr. Shannon?
I would move to approve ordinance 3879.
Second.
Second by Mr. Modry. Discussion or questions? See none? Oh, Mr. Preister.
Mayor, this is time for celebration. Hip, hip, hooray. Sidewalks are going in. Thank you.
We haven't voted yet.
Good point.
Please vote.
All voted yes.
Thank you, Mr. Preister. Hip, hip.
Item 8 is ordinances for public hearing, second reading. Sub-item A, ordinance number 3880, amending sections 2-203 and 2-205 of the Bellevue Municipal Code pertaining to the Code of Ethics and Conflict of Interest Policy for Bellevue city officials and employees.
Do you need Sabrina to read any more? Did she get
I don't
it?
think so, not for this
All
one.
right. I'll go ahead and open for public hearing on this item. Anyone wishing to speak on this item, please do so at this time.
Good evening. Chuck Frederick, 1511 Madison Street. This ordinance should have been passed, or should have been addressed before the last meeting. And I think there's too much politics going on here. Mr. Shannon did not have the right to come down and speak about his own property, and that, to me, is almost unconstitutional. Whether it's an individual on the council or appointed official, if they have land and there's something going on, being excluded from being able to talk just isn't right. I said before it was ridiculous, and I think it is now too. But hopefully this will be passed now, so if other situations occur, that everybody will have a right to speak on the property they own. It's just beyond my comprehension why he wasn't able to speak. Thank you.
David D. Anson, 1001 Bellevue Boulevard, South. Quite frankly, I'm kind of disappointed this issue has even come up. Obviously, somebody that's sitting on the council has weight when they appear into defense or any offense in an issue. I would remind the council that you are public servants. You are serving the public. Maybe if you have a great deal of property that is going to be concerning the city, you might be thinking about putting it into receivership so that you do not have an vested interest on this issue. I think it's important for the perception of the public that our city officials are not seen as sitting in office to benefit themselves. Yes, it does seem kind of unfair that if you have property that you're trying to use or it comes up before the city council, Yes, that does seem, maybe you should hire an attorney to represent you. But I think when a city council person comes up and testifies here up before the council, they are not seen as just the public. They are seen as a city councilman or councilwoman. So I would encourage you to not pass this and continue on the right path so that there is no conflict of interest. You were not elected to the city council to benefit yourself or represent your economic or financial interest. You were elected to serve the public. You are a public servant. Thank you.
Leanne Gifford, 10111 South 11th Street, Bellevue. When you're elected to the city council, you're put in a position of public trust. You're representing the public, you're not representing yourself as individuals. Now, if the purpose of the proposed amendment is to correct some perceived error or wrongdoing suffered by Mr. Shannon for being unable to come and speak before the council, the way this is worded is much more broad than just addressing one's, what one council member, where his interest may be at odds with the city's. I am not in favor of this amendment whatsoever. I agree with Mr. Anson that if you have a position where you have to step down, recuse yourself, hire someone. Actually, you don't even have to hire an attorney necessarily, I don't think. But have someone speak on your behalf and know what they're going to be saying on your behalf. And that's how you handle a conflict. You don't have to get down and speak for yourself necessarily. So I would urge you to not approve this proposed amendment. Thank you.
Are there others? See none, I'll go ahead and close the public.
Wait a minute, might be one. Maybe not. Okay. Yep.
Steve Dawes, 413 Mary Mallory, Kuntz Memorial Drive here in Bellevue. I'm against this. When a council member stands in open court and makes wild accusations that the city council has colluded, has broken the open meetings law, etc., I'm not sure that I want them speaking on microphone on behalf of their own property. Because of state action, that council member in question is currently a lame duck, will not be able to run for council again. If he really wants to speak in defense of his own properties, he's able to resign and do like everybody else and talk at the microphone. Thank you.
Is there anyone else? I'll go ahead and close the public hearing. The third reading will be on Monday, August the 28th.
I have a question.
Mr. Preister.
Thank you, Mayor. There are people watching who may not be aware, but in our packet, and I would ask Mr. Mangiamelli, here's one area we're getting some benefit to being a member of the League of Municipalities, and there is a statement in there from the League about the constitutionality or being more or less strict than state legislation. Could you comment on what the League has ruled in this area?
The executive director of the league did provide an opinion, which I offered to the city council as part of the recommendation on this matter, that, yes, not only is there a ordinance and a city code provision dealing with this, but there is also the state constitution and statutes that require certain actions and certain ethics to be adhered to.
Mr. Sullivan.
Just one small comment, and that is, we're gonna vote on this, more than likely in 2 weeks. And as you look at this, I think you need to look at it at its full capacity of what it may or may not do and not tie personalities to it. It's probably not fair to that person, or it's probably not fair to the city as a whole. You need to make a decision on how it'll affect, if it is open, widespread.
Good point.
Thank you. Item 9, ordinance for introduction, first reading.
Item A is ordinance number 3881, creation of the Firefighters Retirement Committee. No action is required this evening. Item B, ordinance number 3882, amending sections 4-10 and 5-10 of the City of Bellevue subdivision regulations regarding approved final plat and small subdivision plat filing. No action required this evening. Item C is ordinance number 3883, the annual appropriations bill. As the mayor has indicated, all of these items will have public hearing at the next meeting.
Thank you. Item 10, public hearing on matters other than ordinance.
Sub-item A is public hearing on the event license application of the Bellevue Eagles, number 3912, for an outdoor concert fundraiser in the rear parking lot at 209 West Mission Avenue from 6 p.m. to 12 a.m. on Saturday, September 9, 2017.
Thank you. I'll go ahead and open for public hearing on this item. Welcome.
Good evening, April Frazier.
Debbie O'Shea.
I am on the entertainment committee for the Bellevue Eagles, 3912 at 209 West Mission, and September 9th will be our outdoor festival. Requesting a license to have that.
Thank you. Are there any questions for either of the ladies? See none. Just real quick, is it coordinated with the Bellevue Little Theater? Thank you.
Yes, ma'am,
And
it
their
is.
performances. Appreciate it. Thank you. No further questions or discussion. I'll close the public hearing. What are the wishes of the council?
I'd
Ms.
like to
Burns?
see all of you there.
Thank you.
I make a motion that we approve the event license, application of the Bellevue Eagles, 3912 for an outdoor concert fundraiser in the rear parking lot at 209 West Mission Avenue from 6 p.m. to 12 a.m. on Saturday, September 9th, 2017.
Second by Mr. Preister. Discussion or questions? See none, please vote.
All voted yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And it is a great event, and hope to see you there. Thank you.
Item B is a public hearing on the event license application of the Air Force Sergeants Association for a trail run fundraiser in Swanson Park from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Friday, September 15, 2017.
I'll go ahead and open for public hearing on this item. Anyone wishing to speak, please do so. Welcome.
Good evening. I'm Sergeant Kacharid off at Air Force Base. Basically, this event is just a fundraiser for the Air Force. We're just here to get the application for the event. Normally, it's done on base, but we thought we needed a change of scenery.
Awesome. Are there any questions? See none. Is there anyone else that would like to speak? See none. I'll close the public hearing. Mr. Modry?
Thank you, Mayor. I move that we approve the event license application for the Air Force Sergeants Association for a trail run fundraiser in Swanson Park from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Friday, September 15th, 2017.
Second by Mr. Shannon. Discussion or questions? Mr. Preister?
Thank you, Mayor. I know it's a great place to run, and I'm glad you've chosen Swanson Park. There are lots of families, lots of activities. I'm just not sure how we coordinate the regular users and the special events. We've got another one here, and we're starting to get more. So I'm not sure even who to ask, but when we get event licenses, be good to have a sign or something in the park, just letting people know to prepare that this week there's going to be, your trails are gonna be used by a lot of people.
Yes, sir, we can
And I'm not putting it on you, but I'm just suggesting for all of us, we should probably have some kind of approach as this park gets busier and busier. But I'll put it out there and we'll see what we can do to help notify folks of yours and the others.
Sir.
Thank you.
Any other discussion or questions? See none, please vote.
All voted yes.
Thank you, and thank you for your service. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Sub-item C is public hearing on the event license application of the Bellevue Bruins 11U baseball team for a 5K color run fundraiser at Hayworth Park from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Saturday, September 30, 2017.
I'll go ahead and open for public hearing on this item. Anyone wishing to speak, please do so. See none, I'll close the public hearing. Wishes of the council. Mr. Preister.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll move to approve the event license application of the Bellevue Bruins 11U baseball team for a 5K color run fundraiser at Hayworth Park from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Saturday, September 30th, 2017.
Second.
Second by Mr. Modry. Discussion or questions? See none, please vote.
All voted yes.
Thank you.
Sub-item D is a public hearing on the final plat approval and approval of the Hyda Hills Second Subdivision Agreement for lots 1 through 176. Hyda Hills 2, the applicant is Celebrity Homes, general location, South 17th Street and Mayflower Road.
Thank you. I'll go ahead and open for public hearing on this item.
Good evening.
Welcome.
I'm a slow writer. I
That's
apologize.
take your time.
No, a very simple, short name, Mark Johnson, appearing tonight on behalf of the applicant Celebrity Homes. With me tonight is John Coolidge from Lamper Nearson Associates, the engineer for the applicant. We're here to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions from the council? I see none. Is there anyone else who would like to speak on this item?
Chuck Frederick, 1511 Madison Street. And I was able to take a look at what they're planning there. And Mr. Shannon showed that to me, and his idea was that there is a blockage there that if they would extend the road so that some of the residents would not be blocked in as much. And so I think that everybody should be looking at that and making sure that we have, number one, have safety for our residents there so they get in and out of that area.
Can I address that?
Mr. Shannon.
Yeah, I talked with fire and I talked with planning today about what I was seeing on here. Those of you that have the map up, I was looking at Hummingbird Drive and the fact that it does not connect to Hummingbird Circle, and it traps 37 homes in there with one way out through Raven Ridge Drive, okay? What I later learned is you can't tell it from the map we're given here, but that's already existing and built. That's already full of homes. There's nothing we can do about it. So the comment is moot at this point because this is already built. You just can't tell it from this. So what they're doing here is fine, but it would have been nice if Hummingbird Drive could have connected, but there's already houses in the way, so we can't fix it at this point.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Public hearing is still open. Anyone would like to speak on this item? See none, I'll close the public hearing. Wishes of the council. Mr. Cook.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll make a motion that we approve the final plat. We approve the final plat and the approval of the Hyda Hills 2 subdivision agreement for lots 1 through 176, Hyda Hills 2, applicant Celebrity Homes, general location, South 17th Street and Mayflower Road.
Second.
Second by Mr. Burns. Discussion or questions? See none, please vote.
All voted yes.
Thank you. Item 11, resolution, none. 12, current business.
Sub-item A is approval of the memorandum of understanding between the City of Bellevue and Omaha Public Schools for the School Resource Officer Program at Bryan Middle and High School.
Mr. Burns.
I make a motion that we approve the memorandum of understanding between the City of Bellevue and Omaha Public Schools for the School Resource Officer Program at Bryan Middle and High School.
Second.
Second by Mr. Preister. Discussion or questions? See none, please vote.
All voted yes.
Thank you.
Sub-item B is approval of the annual service agreement with Virtura for the continued maintenance and service of the police simulator in the amount of $33,388 to be paid with federal forfeiture money.
Mr. Preister.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to approve the annual service agreement with Virtra for the continued maintenance and service of the police simulator in the amount of $33,388 to be paid with federal forfeiture money.
Second.
Second by Mr. Burns. Discussion, questions? Mr. Modry.
Thank you. Captain, just, have we been able to realize any revenue from that simulator by other departments using that yet, or?
We have some. There have been several agencies that have contracted with us to come in, including Union Pacific Railroad and several local agencies as well. So yes, we have.
Great, thank you.
Any other discussion, questions? See none, please vote. Thank you.
Sub-item C is approving the request for permission to accept the quote from Newman Equipment Company for the removal of the underground fuel tanks at the Southwest Public Works Shop, District 1, District 2, District 3, and District 4 fire stations in the amount of $44,563.20.
Mr. Shannon.
Mayor, I move to approve item 12C.
Second.
We better have the dollar amount and.
In the motion.
It's in the motion.
Okay, we've always had to.
It's in the reading. Mr. Sullivan, do we need to add that?
No, he's fine. Once it's mentioned who the company is and the dollar amount, just simply saying moving for 12C is sufficient.
And a second, was it on this? Was it Mr. Burns? Thank you. Discussion or questions? See, Mr. Modry.
Thank you. I know with many of the other contracts we have, there are requirements for insurance in that. I did not see that in this agreement. Are there requirements for them to have insurance, liability insurance and other things in the contract?
There is. They don't have to submit that until after the bid's awarded. And then before we give them a notice to proceed, they'll be required to show us their insurance.
Okay, it was in the agreement.
Yeah, but we always require that.
Okay, thank you.
Any other? Mr. Shannon.
That would also include state monitoring to make sure we don't have spills and comply with cleanup requirements?
That is correct. That's part of theirs.
Any other questions? See none, please vote.
All voted yes.
Thank you.
Sub-item D is approval of the low responsive bidder for the Baldwin and Hayworth Park Ball Field Lighting Improvement Project from DC Electric Heartland Lighting for an amount not to exceed $82,240 and authorizing the mayor to sign the contract.
I make,
Mr. Burns.
oh,
Go ahead.
I make a motion that we approve the low responsible bidder for the Baldwin and Hayworth Park Ball Field Lighting Improvement Project from DC Electric / Heartland Lighting for an amount not to exceed $82,240 and authorize the mayor to sign the contract.
Second.
Second by Mr. Preister. Discussion or questions? See none, please vote.
All voted yes.
Thank you.
Sub-item E is the approval of the amendment to 1-2 agreement and to authorize the mayor to sign the engineering services agreement between the City of Bellevue and HDR Engineering, Inc., not to exceed a corrected amount of $158,300 for the sanitary sewer replacement and force main project.
Mr. Preister.
Thank you, Mayor. I move approval as so just read.
Second by Mr. Shannon. Discussion, questions? Mr. Modry?
Thank you. Just a point of clarification on the cover sheet for this item. It said it was not budgeted, but indeed it is within the budget. Is that right?
Mr. Roberts, would you like to comment?
That's correct. That is in the CIP and the budget.
Thank you.
And I know this is an amendment to an existing contract. Did we consider putting out for bid for competition a new contract, or is that feasible under this situation, or?
The original contract was to do the feasibility study, and so this is just an extension to continue on with design.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Discussion? Mr. Shannon, you look, no? Okay. Please vote.
All voted yes.
Thank you.
Sub-item F is the approval and authorization for the mayor to sign the agreement for engineering and surveying services between the City of Bellevue and E&A Consulting Group, Inc. for the pedestrian bridge rehabilitation project in an amount not to exceed $16,100.
Mr. Cook?
Thank you, Mayor. I'll make a motion, we approve item 12F.
Second by Mr. Shannon. Discussion or questions? See none, please vote.
All voted yes.
Thank you. Item 13, administration reports. Comments must be limited to the items on the current report. Are there any questions for Mr. Mangiamelli? Mr. Modry?
Thank you. One item that you had, Mayor, on meeting with the Red Cross for the Sound the Alarm program kicking off in September. Can you tell us a little bit about Sound
You
the Alarm?
bet. They will be presenting next month at the council meeting, and it is to get fire alarms in homes for those that do not have them. The Red Cross has that in their budget this year, and I'm working with Chief Guido on that, and they will be presenting and have a kickoff for that event.
Okay, thank you. And then, Mr. Mangiamelli, you mentioned meeting with the Bellevue Bridge Commission and MAPPA about future for the bridge replacement. Can we, is there anything to bring up there? Or?
The Bridge Commission is interested in undertaking a feasibility assessment to look at the current bridge, alternatives for its future continuation, possible funding sources, et cetera, if it should need to be replaced. MAPPA is taking the lead on this project on behalf of the Bridge Commission. The Bridge Commission will pay a percentage of the costs as it further develops.
Okay. Keep a watch in the future.
Yes, absolutely. Mr. Preister?
Thank you, Mayor. I would just want to congratulate the new hires in our police department that I see listed, and also congratulate those that may have recently retired, and thank them all for their past service, but their upcoming service, and salute and congratulate them on a good profession, an honorable one, and here in Bellevue where we have much respect for what they and all of our first responders do. So my thanks and congratulations to both the new hires and the retires.
Thank you. Mr. Modry?
Yeah, I had a couple more, I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right. In Mr. Burke's report, and I don't know, Larry can come up or Joe can handle either way.
He's here.
Okay. You mentioned a meeting with Schneider Electric about the street light acquisition, LED conversion. Any news to report with that?
Well, we're continuing the planning, and we're kind of hoping to collaborate with other communities within the area to get that economy of scale. But I believe Joe and I are going to meet this week with the City of Omaha to see if they would be where they're at in their planning of this. And we've reached out to other members of Sarpy County, or just the metro, actually. So that's where we're at this point, but we'll continue to keep collaborating, and finally, hopefully we'll have something to present within a few weeks or a few months. I'm not sure how long it's gonna
Yeah.
take.
Okay, all right. And another item, you mentioned the meeting with Bellevue University professor there regarding Lean Six Sigma and
Yeah.
trying to apply it to us.
I appreciate.
Be very interested in that.
I appreciate that question. Dr. Shamith Wasich is a adjunct professor at Bellevue University. He and I graduated from UNO together. We had many classes at UNO in our graduate program, and that was part of his PhD dissertation. And that he wrote a book, and I'd be happy to share that book with you. Honestly, I haven't cracked the cover on it yet. Well, it's
Okay.
electronic, but I just got it. So.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, with our tightening budgets and everything, anything we can do for more efficiency will help us.
It's an interesting approach, yeah. We
Yep.
definitely want to look at that.
Thank you.
Mr. Preister.
Thank you, Mayor. Larry, I just wanted to comment. The street lights are an important cost savings that we've been looking at. We're spending over $1 million a year just lighting our streets. If they're converted to LED bulbs, we save on the energy. If we own them, there's opportunities for sale of service. There are a whole host of potential opportunities in the future we may not have even assessed yet.
Yep.
So I'm glad that the council directed you a while back to pursue and to bring us information, and I look forward to the meetings, and particularly with Omaha seeing the same advantage and theirs is an even greater cost savings. So this is looking out for the taxpayers, and I'm glad that Councilman Modry brought it up because it is important, and I'm glad you're following through.
And to use the football term, we're trying to beef up and get those strength in numbers. So,
Good.
All right.
Any other questions from the council? See none, we'll move on to item number 14, public request to be heard. Any member of the public addressing the council shall abide by Council Policy Resolution 35 regarding the principles of conduct and decorum, which states any statement made during the city council meeting by the mayor, members of the city council, city official, employee, and members of the general public shall not involve in personal, impertinent, or slanderous attacks on individuals regardless of whether the individual so attacked is an elected official, a city official, or an employee or member of the general public. And City Code Section 2-68 regarding the manners of addressing the council. Copies of the aforementioned rules are posted outside the council chambers. Speakers shall limit their presentation to 5 minutes. Is there anyone that would like to speak?
Russ Frederick, 1511 Madison Street. At the last meeting, I passed out some information about a leadership summit that Bellevue Christian Center was holding last Thursday and Friday. Unfortunately, I didn't see anybody there, but it was a fantastic event. Over 160,000 people in the United States saw it, and over 400,000 worldwide. It was very impressive, and the speakers were fantastic, and I would certainly encourage you next year when we're going to host it again next year along with Brookside Church, which has done it for about, I think, 7, 8, 9, 10 years. This leadership summit has gone on for over, I think, over 20 years, a long time. So I would assume next year will probably be over 500,000 people or more watching it. So anybody who wants to think about leadership and how to be a better leader, I would certainly recommend it too. The other thing is that going from a positive to a little bit of a negative is that I kind of feel the city of Bellevue has been broken for a long time. And just an example of that is that I didn't know about this until just now, but on that 10D where you had the approval for the Haida Hills 2 division, it looked to me like somebody should have caught that a long time ago. Mr. Shannon caught it, but of course, what I've been told now, that it was too late to change it. But I remember when Dave Sanborn used to always talk about the ditch parks, and all the builders and contractors would just put all the houses in and just put ditch parks in, and he was always overridden by the rest of the council. We need to start thinking about our city in a way that we expand and grow. And I've talked about a lot of things in the last 2 or 3 years or more, over 200 times, and I've talked about a state auditor coming down. You ignored me on that. I talked about having a full-time city attorney. You ignored me about that. I talked about having a monthly balance sheet. We should have had the pools taken care of a long time ago. We should have had another library ready, and we should never certainly have taken that bridge from the state where we got, what, $500,000 is going to cost $1 million to fix it. That doesn't make any sense at all. We've got to start thinking a lot better than we have been thinking. Unfortunately, neither the leader or the World Herald prints anything about what I say on these public request times, but I think it's time that you guys start thinking about what we can do to make the city better. Now, I will say something good about Bellevue leader Ron Peacock had an article in the paper after the last meeting where he talked about how you guys don't follow the same rules for everybody. You certainly don't follow the same rules for me as you do other people. Carol Blood spoke. She took 10 minutes to speak, and she didn't stay on the subject whatsoever, except for just maybe a half a minute. She spoke 5 minutes about how good she was, and then 5 minutes about how bad Pat Shannon was. And nobody stopped her at all. I get up for 2 minutes and start talking, and you stop me. Then you got to start following the rules the way they are. I mentioned to you before, too, that on July 2015 on my website, which is www.chuckfrederick.com, you'll see a letter from the ACLU. And I think you better start reading that, because what the mayor is saying, and what she reads every time, I have the right, if I wanted to, or anybody else here has the right to say something to any one of you council people or appointed officials and say something and criticize you. I could do it personally if I wanted to. I could also swear if I wanted to, according to what ACLU said in that letter. I don't swear, and I haven't attacked anybody personally, but one of these times somebody, hopefully not me, but will come down here. But if I come down and say something against one of you personally, I'm going to have the ACLU down here with me. So you better read that. You better read that on that what I have on my website, and read that letter, because it's still pertinent now to my knowledge, and it hasn't changed. Well, the other thing too is that this last leader had an article in there about the petition for Pat Shannon. I think that was inappropriate because, number one, it hadn't been approved yet, and number two, once it is approved, Mr. Shannon has a right to respond to it, and the article had what the objections were for Mr. Shannon, but it didn't have his response because it hasn't been approved yet. I think that it's unfair to keep attacking him until such time that we have the actual petition, and then you can print it up if you want to with his response. The other thing people don't realize is that when you sign a petition, your name is on record. And I mentioned before that I had a lady that signed the petition against me when I recalled in my neighborhood, and she forged your son's name. So there are some people here. She knows I know, but I will not mention her name. I won't try to embarrass her. But it's time we start realizing just what's going on in this city and start looking out for the benefits of our city. Also, on the petition, if they did get enough signatures, which I kind of doubt they will, but if they did, there's a cost to the city. And I think it's time that the leader and the World Herald both mention what that cost is going to be. It's going to be costly. Because I know when they tried to recall me, they didn't get enough signatures, but the cost for having an extra ballot was going to be pretty expensive just for Ward 1. So I think we should find out what that cost is and let people know how much it's going to cost the city if that gets that far. Thank you very much.
I'll go ahead and close the public hearing. Item 15, none. Item 16, adjournment. Need a motion to adjourn. Mr. Shannon.
Mayor, I motion that we adjourn.
Second.
Second by Mr. Preister. Discussion, questions? See none, please vote.
All voted yes.
Thank you. Our next meeting will be on Monday, August 28th.